In the 1980s, Michael Anthony Hall hit the motherlode, starring as a geek in 3 hit movies in a row from director John Hughes. This run started in 1984 when he played the king of the dipshits in 16 Candles. The following year, he had back-to-back hits starting with his role as the Brain in The Breakfast Club, and then as the misfit Gary in Weird Science, which was a bit of a departure from a normal John Hughes movie. We'll take a look back at this teen comedy on the next Back to the Feature.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Michael Anthony Hall plays Gary, and his best friend Wyatt is played by Elon Mitchell Smith. They are 2 of the nerdiest guys at Shermer High School, and it shows. They may be nerds, but they have a dream, and that dream is to shower with a couple of pretty girls. They have the hots for Deb and Hilly, who are cheerleaders, way out of their league, and happen to already have boyfriends played by Robert Ressler as Max and a baby-faced Robert Downey Jr. as Ian. Boyfriends who also happen to be Gary and Wyatt's personal tormentors. Wyatt has one thing going for him though. His family is rich and they've left him home alone for the weekend. But only because his older brother Chet is coming home from college. We'll get to meet Chet a bit later, and he's a real peach. On Friday night, Gary has an idea. Inspired from the Frankenstein movie they're watching, Gary proposes that they use Wyatt's computer to make a girl. Wyatt's a bit confused because what would they do with a 2-dimensional virtual girl? Gary explains that they'll put her into different sexual situations.
Real sick, demented shit. You'd love it.
That Gary is a real thinker. So they fire up the 5 1/4 floppy disk and start designing the girl of their dreams. Gary claims to be a connoisseur of women's breasts and that anything bigger than a handful is risking a sprained hand. He's truly a man ahead of his time. There's not a whole lot they can do with Wyatt's computer, so Gary says they need more power. And by more power, I mean hacking into military computers with a dial-up modem. This was 1985, so the computer graphics here are basic to say the least. They hit Wyatt's porn stash and start feeding pictures into the computer, but that's still not enough. Then it's time to mix real science with something a little less conventional. They hook up a Barbie doll to a bunch of batteries and perform a weird ritual with bras over their heads. This weird science seems to do the trick. A strange electrical storm appears out of nowhere and it's like a tornado in the room. Electricity drops from the sky and covers the house and ultimately hits the doll. They try to turn the computer off to stop the chaos, but nothing seems to work. And then suddenly everything goes still and the bathroom door starts to bulge. In the ultimate, holy shit, I can't believe that actually worked moment, the bathroom door explodes and Kelly LeBrock, as the living embodiment of the Barbie doll, appears in the doorway. She greets them with a simple question.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
It's not a big surprise when they answer with their dream of showering with a woman. When their dream finally comes true, these 2 goobers keep their pants and shoes on. She is fully aware that she was created out of nothing on their computer and she's there to do whatever they want. But first she makes sure they're properly dressed for a night out. And this is when they figure out that she can pretty much make anything happen. So our trio is out on the town in a pink Cadillac convertible and their new friend needs a name, so Gary decides on Lisa because he used to like a girl named Lisa, even though she kneed him in the nuts. Lisa takes the boys to a blues bar and provides them with fake IDs. They end up drinking with some of the regulars at the club and it gets pretty funny. When the patrons ask why Lisa is with the young lad, she simply tells them it's purely sexual.
No shit.
Then comes one of the funniest scenes in my opinion. Gary and Wyatt get completely hammered and Gary starts to act and talk like some old-time blues man. The audience was rolling as Gary told the story about an 8th grade girl that kneed him in the nuts. They drag their drunk asses back home and are confronted by Big Brother Chet. First of all, the late great Bill Paxton plays Chet and made him into such a memorable character. He torments Wyatt with physical intimidation and some extortion by demanding $175 cash. Chet then comes face to face with Gary, who's still drunk as a skunk, and Gary says what we're all thinking.
He's an asshole. Look at his haircut. Anybody with a haircut like that, you know he's an asshole.
For now, they're able to keep the Lisa thing a secret from Chet. Lisa makes out with Wyatt in an effort to teach him how to properly kiss. I'm not sure how well this holds up today because she knows he's only 15 years old. The next morning, everything in Wyatt's room is back to normal as if nothing ever happened. They wake up and assume it was all a dream. But Gary, being the smart one, asks how it's possible that they both had the same dream. They quickly figure out it was true when Wyatt gets out of bed wearing Lisa's underwear. Lisa is fixing breakfast and we learn that she didn't sleep with Wyatt after all because he passed out before anything happened. Lisa leaves the room just before Chet comes in and commandeers the breakfast she just made. The shit hits the fan when Chet sees that Wyatt is wearing women's underwear and worries that the next thing is he'll be wearing a bra on his head. This is where we get a peek at a little trick that would be used extensively in a later movie from John Hughes. After the bra line, Wyatt looks directly at the camera, breaking the fourth wall just like Ferris Bueller. Gary and Wyatt go to the mall to look for a present for Lisa while she is off shopping for some lingerie to wear for the boys. Unknown to Gary and Wyatt, they are in the line of fire from Max and Ian, who are on the level above with Deb and Hilly drinking a large cherry Icee. Just as Gary and Wyatt feel pretty good about themselves, they're hit with the cherry liquid from above like the prom scene in Carrie. They take it in stride because sadly they're used to the abuse. While Max and Ian are pretty proud of themselves, Deb and Hilly are getting tired of their childish behavior. As the two couples make their way down the escalator, they see Lisa going up the other way. Being the assholes they are, Max and Ian leave their girlfriends behind and take off after her. They follow her all the way outside to the curb and introduce themselves. It's embarrassing to watch and they really don't have any game. Lisa's waiting for her ride and the look on their faces is priceless when Gary and Wyatt pull up in a Porsche. Max and Ian can only stand there looking stupid while Gary eats it up. Lisa then tells them there's a party tonight at Wyatt's house and to pass the word around. Wyatt is a little freaked out about having the party, but Lisa explains this is her way of fulfilling their dream of having friends and being popular. Lisa has to go and pick up Gary and she's excited to meet his parents. This is another one of my favorite scenes in the movie. There's just so much going on during their sit down. Lisa is drinking and smoking while talking to his dad Al, who's very suspicious of her. She explains the party thing she's got going on, but Al's not having it. He tries to send Gary to his room and threatens to throw her out, and I was dying when she stands up to him and says,
"Don't threaten me, Al. You're out of shape. I'll kick your ass."
She tells them that Gary needs this and asks them how sad it is that their son's only sexual outlet is tossing off to magazines in the bathroom. This revelation takes the conversation to a whole new level. The funny part here is that she did the hand gesture and the look on Gary's mom's face. She's completely horrified. She thought he was in there combing his hair. Al has had enough and picks up the phone to call the police. Lisa responds by pointing a gun at his face, and needless to say, that ended the conversation. Lisa drives Gary home, but he's being a downer, so she points the gun at him and shows him that it's just a squirt gun. He's worried his life is over because his parents are going to kill him. Lisa says he should trust her because his parents won't know what happened. And she's right. Back at Gary's house, his mom mentions Gary acting strangely earlier, and his dad has no idea who Gary is. Back at Wyatt's house, they don't think anyone will show up since they don't have any friends. Then the doorbell rings and the entire student body is waiting at the front door. The party gets going and the house is packed with tons of people. Max and Ian show up with Deb and Hilly while Gary and Wyatt are hiding out in the upstairs bathroom. Deb and Hilly see Lisa and get super jealous of her looks. They make their way up to the bathroom, but it's occupied. Gary and Wyatt open the door and let Deb and Hilly in. They've never formally met, so they do the formal handshaking introductions. Hilly asks who the hot lady is, and they admit that she's with them. Downstairs, Max and Ian are trying to make their move with Lisa. She politely tells them that she belongs to Gary and Wyatt and that she does whatever they say. You can see the light bulb go off in their heads. Max and Ian have a sit down with Gary and Wyatt to apologize for their previous antics, and then they jump right into their request. They ask if they can borrow Lisa and they're quickly shot down. Then Max and Ian make their best offer.
You let us have a crack at Lisa, and then we'll let you have Deb and Hilly.
True gentlemen. Gary and Wyatt admit the truth to Max and Ian about making Lisa in the computer. They go through the whole process again to prove it. The electrical storm arrives like before, but the storm is bigger this time and starts having all kinds of strange effects on the people at the party. The tornado is now going through the house and sucking all the furniture out through the fireplace and into the pond. One unlucky girl has her clothes yanked off before she is sucked up and tossed out of the house too. When the storm ends, there is no bulging bathroom door. Just Lisa standing there reprimanding them for showing off. In their effort to be big shots, they forgot one little detail.
We forgot to hook up the doll.
Instead, the jumper cables just happen to be laying on a cover of Time magazine with a Pershing nuclear missile on it. And right on cue, the missile comes up out of the basement and through the floor until it pokes out through the roof. Just then, Wyatt's grandparents show up and start hitting the partygoers. Lisa intercepts them and puts them in the pantry in a catatonic state, frozen with smiles on their faces. Sensing the boys need a big dose of self-confidence, Lisa conjures up a mutant motorcycle gang to bust in on the party. Everyone is terrified as they wreck through the house on their motorcycles. The coolest part about the gang is that one of them is played by Michael Berryman from The Hills Have Eyes. While everyone is pretty much held hostage by the gang, Gary and Wyatt hide out in the closet. Lisa tries to get them to come out and deal with the intruders, but they're too chicken shit. They don't have much of a choice though when they're yanked through the wall and forced to join everyone else. The leader of the gang calls them out in front of everyone and mocks them with all of their secrets. They're still just cowards though until Deb and Hilly are threatened. That's the final straw. Finally, Gary and Wyatt stand up for themselves. They get cocky and start mouthing off back at the gang, and then Gary whips out the handgun Lisa had and shoves it in the leader's face. They have no choice but to release the girls and slowly make their exit. Now they're heroes, and Gary is so elated he's just waving the gun around like it's nothing. Wyatt wants to know where he got the gun, and he says relax, it's just a squirt gun. But then he pulls the trigger and shoots the chandelier. Oops. The party's over and everyone has gone home. Hilly approaches Wyatt and asks if he will kiss her, and she says Ian is history. Upstairs, the same scenario plays out for Gary and Hilly. She's worried about Lisa though, and Gary assures her that Lisa is not in the way. The next morning, Chet arrives home from hunting to find the house destroyed and all of the furniture is outside in the yard and pond. He's so pissed that he takes his shotgun to go find Wyatt. Before he finds him, he sees that it's snowing in his room and there's a missile in Wyatt's room. He finds Gary and Deb sleeping, so he starts bopping them in the head with the barrel of the gun. Which, if you think about it, that shit would really hurt. He finally finds Wyatt and Hilly in another room and he snatches him up demanding answers. Wyatt tells him that Lisa can explain everything. Chet has everyone lined up in the kitchen while he confronts Lisa. They all tell the same story and he's not buying it. But then he opens the pantry and sees his catatonic grandparents just smiling. He can't believe someone would do that to them. He then takes his anger out on Wyatt's underwear by giving him a big-ass wedgie that looked pretty painful. Lisa isn't afraid of Chet, so she tells the boys to take the girls home so she can talk to him alone. They leave and Chet shows his ass by being gross with her. She tells him that from this point on, he's going to treat Gary and Wyatt with dignity and respect. She then warns him that she can be a real serious bitch if she doesn't get what she wants. He just smiles and says, hit me with your best shot. Gary takes Deb home in his new Ferrari that Lisa conjured up for him, while Wyatt takes Hilly home in the Porsche. Once the girls are home, each couple shares one last kiss before the boys return to Wyatt's house. Back at the house, Lisa gave Chet her best shot and turned him into an oozing mutant blob. She won't change him back until he gives his word that he'll leave Gary and Wyatt alone from now on. He finally agrees and she tells him the effect will wear off in a little bit. Gary and Wyatt return to the house and are feeling pretty good about their new girlfriends. Once inside, they get a look at the gross pile of goo that is Chet, who is now apologizing to them both and promising to treat them better. The guys then tell Lisa that they fell in love with Deb and Hilly and she's happy for them. It's a tearful goodbye, but it's for the best. She then walks into the bathroom and disappears in a cloud of smoke. After the smoke clears, everything starts to reverse itself. The missile recedes back down through the floor and all the furniture flies back up in the sky, dropping down into the chimney. All of this starts happening as the parents are pulling up in the driveway. How they don't see any of this is beyond me though. It's a mad dash as everything runs in reverse in the house. The beds make themselves, paintings and posters return to the walls, the last of the furniture slides into place just as the parents are opening the front door. Even Chet is returned to normal. The only thing they didn't address is the grandparents. In the epilogue, we're at the high school as a bunch of boys gather in the gym. They hear a whistle and line up. Then the theme from Rocky starts playing as the camera pans up from a pair of tennis shoes to slowly reveal Lisa as their new gym teacher. She demands that they drop and give her 20. She then breaks the fourth wall by looking into the camera, smiling and winking at the audience. Cue the title song Weird Science by Oingo Boingo and roll the credits. This movie was a pretty big hit at the box office. Teenagers like myself at the time were huge fans of it. John Hughes could do no wrong in the 80s. I was a computer nerd growing up and had a Commodore 64 in high school. It's a fortunate thing that computers couldn't create real women back then because every teenage boy would have their own Lisa. While this movie has never been remade, I do think it needs a sequel. It would be interesting to see where Gary, Wyatt, and Lisa are at this point in their lives. I'd watch that movie. Would you want to see a sequel? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below to help grow this channel. I appreciate you taking time out of your day and hope you will come back for the next Back to the Feature.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.